on the last few people to join the lobby, and then we will get into a stuck check before qualifying begins. And of course I will need to figure out all over again how to share stuff and stuff like that. Analytics, nope. Edit video. So we have ADX Dawson. I believe we're waiting on one more person. There we go. Alright, on schedule. Anyway, let's upload the thumbnail, which is pictures. Right there. Perfect. So I will copy and paste all the streams everywhere. It's there, it's there. And into there. There we go. Right. As I said before, welcome to the IGTL Preseason Round 2. Got a few different names in here today, as of course it is Preseason. No lobbies have been completely defined as of yet. We're just getting the fastest drivers in this lobby that we possibly can, and trying to split the lobbies up roughly equally, as I look to remember how... I need to turn the keyboard on. That's how. F1, F11, there we go, there's the setup. As we look at Sissy. I'm so sorry, Sissy, I love you. But, it's a difficult name. Oh, as you decide to go spinning off. Yeah, he is one of the guys who wasn't in the last race. He couldn't make it to the last one, so I believe we had a replacement of Dr. Rob lined up for him in that one, who did very well, to be fair. I believe he got 6th place in one of the races, as he seems to be very happy he's in the Lexus. We'll look at... there we go. We will look at Desmania now, the guy who won the last race of Preseason, race number 2. Hopefully looking to carry forward his momentum into this round. You can start that off by having good qualifying, which hopefully should be beginning very soon. As I've just remembered, I haven't been to the toilet yet. That's fine. I can hold it. As we'll follow on board with Desmania and see what sort of laps you want to expect these Gr2 cars around the Nürburgring, using as much of the track as possible there, tight to the next corner. You really want to constantly turn the car around the corners so you can get as much speed on exit through all of them. As we brake hard into the next left-hander, Legner using all the track there. Into the right-hander, much slower than the first of the 2 corners. Now a short straight down to the hairpin. Slow speeds as you accelerate away down into the chute, or up into the Schumacher presses. And I will get that right this time. I noticed last time I said Senna S's around Suzuka. I would like to reiterate I'm not that stupid. And I'm sorry. Ah, thank you, old man. Good to see you. Can't stay around for long, so good luck. Well, have a good morning, old man. I think you're Australian, so I'm pretty sure it's the morning for you, but have a good morning, mate. As we see Legner going through the final chicane, and using as much of the track as possible to go around the last corner. Oh, getting a bit on the gravel there on exit, but that's a decent lap from Legner, going a little bit faster there. And that's a lap around the Nürburgring. A very fast lap as well. We know that Alegna / Desmania, as the Afro Fuzz has joined, another one of our competitors for today. As I was saying, we know Desmania, very quick driver. If I say Alegna at any time, it's because he used to be called Alegna. He's now changed to his previous accounts, Desmania 25081972. But yeah. Hopefully today we can have a good race. The Nürburgring always bringing close racing into things, I find. Suzuka, obviously, a very technical track, and you quite often get a lot of people making mistakes around there, and also just people not being on the same levels of pace. For many people, such as myself, it is a bogey track. Whereas the Nürburgring, obviously, very different. Most people are able to get a decent hang of things around the Nürburgring. Not the 24-hour track, trust me. I know myself that is not an easy track. But around the GP track, most people are able to keep a good grip of things, and hopefully our drivers today can do just that. As welcome, Alex. I believe you're one of the drivers today. Yes, you are. In 6th place there. We'll cut to Alex for a bit. Why not? Got to give some love to Alex. And welcome, Staniel. Got to go to work soon, Staniel? Oh, sorry. Good day, Staniel. I'm sorry. Australians. Oh. But good to see you. Lovely to see some Charlie Roscoe folks coming to join the streams. Today we have the IGTL International Gran Turismo League Gr2 Preseason Round 2. As we're just sorting everything out before qualifying. What should be a good race. I do expect some very close fights today. As I said before, Suzuka, which was epic to be fair. There were some amazing moments around Suzuka, but I'm expecting just as much action, if not more, from the Nürburgring. Drivers always very close in times, as Alex has... I don't know what to call that. Maybe we should... Maybe he's a bit camera shy. We'll cut to ADX Dawson for a bit, who hopefully won't be as camera shy as Alex was there. Maybe during the race I should refrain from cutting to him, so that does not happen again. As we have the Afro Fuzz saying, I hate that car. Well, the Honda quite often considered to be the worst of the modern GR2 cars, which I completely agree with. You will often see the Nissan or the Lexus being used a lot more, as Dawson, again, seeming to be camera shy. I should stop cutting to people. Let's go to Indian Food, someone who rarely makes mistakes, who will probably make a mistake as soon as I cut to him. But Indian Food, obviously, the winner of the first race. A good race from Indian Food, held his pace throughout the race, made his way ahead of Bellin 43, who ended the race in second, as Indian Food was also able to get ahead of Desmania after Desmania made a few mistakes in the initial race. As we can see now, the stuck check will be in 2 minutes before we move into qualifying. Now, the qualifying system, just as a reminder, is a 10 minutes qualifying where everyone goes, sets their fastest lap. There's no fuel or tyre wear currently on. And yeah, they will have 10 minutes to go out there and set as fast a lap as possible. After which, we will have the top 5 drivers all attempt to set their fastest possible lap, yet again, in sort of a shootout for pole position between the top 5. They only get 1 lap, and any mistake could be fatal, as it looks like, from practice times at least, Desmania and Indian Food are going to be very close in this race, so I'm expecting a blinder from these two. As Indian Food, yet again, deciding, you know what, I don't need a livery. Why would I have a livery when the stock car already looks so gorgeous? And for that I say, let's cut to someone who has a livery. Let's cut to Bellin. Bellin, of course, with 2 second places in the last races. Wait, was it 2 second places? I've got that completely wrong. A second place and a sixth place? Fifth, sixth place, something like that. Second place in the first race, I meant to say. And of course, his second race was spoiled by a later incident in the race, as he wasn't able to control the car. Obviously, as I said before, the Honda generally considered to be the hardest car to control. But a driver of Bellin's caliber should be able to, in his lovely red and yellow livery. We'll cut to the man who got second place in the last race, though, in Apex Predator, rocking a new monster livery car. As we had sort of discovered that everyone decided to go for black and green for their liveries. And, you know, we asked a couple people to mix it up, because although, you know, they were lovely liveries, when all the cars are black and green, you kind of want a bit of a change. But I must say, that livery is looking very nice. Obviously, Apex Predator getting second place in the last race, leading briefly as well, and of course making probably the most amazing move we have seen so far. Down the inside of 2 cars, into the final chicane at Suzuka. An amazing move to gain the lead. Normally a move which most people wouldn't be able to pull off as well. Obviously, in daily races, and sometimes even in lobbies, you will get people who just decide to go for a bit of a dive when they're clearly not going to make the corner. But Apex Predator, not one of those drivers. He went for a move and it was just precise the way he made that move, which you can probably tell I loved that move so much. On stream, I don't think I've ever been that loud as when Apex Predator made that lovely move for second place. Hopefully we could see a bit more of that today from him. Rocking the number 22 car in the Lexus. I'm expecting another good race from Apex Predator. Of course, Hooby Shooby, the man in the Nissan, which is still my favourite light liveried car, because I don't know what it is about it, but the design of it, it's simple yet so effective. It's a lovely, lovely Nissan. Maybe should be getting third place in the final race of the last round. A bit of a dark horse sometimes. We know as Hubishubi obviously is a bit younger than most of the other guys on the grid, and he's a bit less experienced than some of the others, but with that young age obviously comes faster reaction times, some good awareness, and some raw pace as well. He's very fast behind the wheel. We could definitely see him as a future star of GT Sport. And if he keeps getting results such as the third place he got in the last race, who knows where he'll end up. Obviously we've got others such as the Afro Fuzz in his first race in the Gr2 International Gran Turismo League. The Afro Fuzz known to be a very fast driver, to be fair. He has been seen on multiple streams of other more well-known YouTubers. I don't really class myself as that famous yet. Maybe my Kermit impressions and FIA intro opera will eventually get me there, but for right now, I think I'll settle with my 41 subscribers. But the Afro Fuzz, very fast, and I'm expecting big things from him as he looks to make a name for himself in the International Gran Turismo League Gr2 season. Hello Mojo and Hippie. Good to see you. As it believes we are starting the stuck check. But hope you're having a good morning / evening. Morning for Mojo, evening for Hippie. I'm pretty sure Hippie is from the UK. As it seems everyone has just decided, you know what, who needs Charlie Roscoe right now? We have thunderstorm. Don't tell Charlie I said that, please. But still, we'll move on to the stuck check. Just check that everyone isn't stuck. Wow, that was terrible. As we'll remove some of the cameras, just have the laps and the position board. Oh, as the lights went out extremely quickly there. Bit of wheel spin coming off of Bellin's car, not getting a great start there from second, but it's just a stuck check anyway. Desmania obviously getting an amazing start. As let's look at Vitamin G right there in the orange and blue car. Absolutely amazing. Now that is a livery I can appreciate. As everyone just decides, you know what, what's a stuck check without punting into one another? And I completely agree with that. If you're going to run a stuck check, don't do what ADX Dawson here is doing and run away with it. Why bother with that? You can have so much fun just hitting off everyone in sight. At least that's what I always end up doing, as Alex decides we'll finish things off with a bit of a spin into the gravel. Newcastle hippie, well, that's the other side of the country from me. As it looks like we'll be getting qualifying underway. 10 minutes of qualifying for everyone. We'll look to Hooby Shooby, the first man out of the pits yet again. I remember in the last race he was the first man out of the pits. The man definitely seeming to be fast out of the box. As I will quickly readjust myself with the cameras, so I will never use L because that is a terrible camera angle. Look to the bonnet camera. Bring up the position boards. I need to get in my head what that is called. So we have K, bonnet camera, we have J, bumper cam, we have G and H for the other things. As we'll look behind for a second, Desmania following right behind Hooby, just purely because I want to look at Hooby's livery. It is absolutely lovely, but so are many of the other liveries we have on show here. Some people putting a lot of effort into the liveries they've made for this Gr2 league, making them look as spiffy as possible. And then we have Indian food. Yeah. As we'll go back to Desmania. Backing off a little bit, getting a good gap to Hooby Shooby. Obviously no tyre wear on, so he can go ahead and weave about as much as he wants. As we'll go on board with the last race winner for a lap of the Nürburgring and see how well he does, as there's an arrow right there and I have no idea how to get rid of it. There we go, completely gone. So as we start the lap with Desmania, the last race winner, braking at just after the 100-metre board. Pretty sure down into second gear there, accelerating hard away, trying not to spin. Desmania getting a bit of a wriggle on there as we go into the tight, slow left-hander. Braking down again into third gear, another tight left-hander. I'm pretty sure that's third gear, I'm not 100% sure. Into the right-hander. Using as much of the track as possible, possibly cutting it a little bit, but whatever PD decides to allow us, we will use. Into the next left, into the next right, directly after, a bit slower than the previous left. Accelerating hard into the hairpin, braking down into second gear. Accelerating hard away. Bit on the gravel there from Desmania. Maybe it's the camera shy. Or the... You know what I mean. As they go through the center S's, Hooby and Desmania braking just before the 100 board. Using as much of the track as possible again to get a good exit, as it is essential to get a good exit out of this corner to carry the momentum down this long back straight. Of course, another corner here, but no one ever brakes for that. Unless you're in auto drive, in which case I think they do. Braking just before the 100 board into the chicane. Cutting the corners very slightly. So you accelerate away using all of the curbing around the last corner. Accelerating towards the start-finish line. Tasmania 1.2 seconds faster than Hooby Shooby, but now only 5 tenths faster than JPS Raiden. We'll look back a bit, go down to the Afro Fuzz. Through the last corner the man goes. And we'll see where he ends up. Obviously at this stage of qualifying, we're not going to know 100% where people actually are. They might be setting banker laps, they might be going flat out straight away. Not 100% sure right now. There we go. As hopefully we can get everyone in some clear air so they can all realise their true potential throughout the lap. As currently, your top 3, after everyone's finished 1 lap, are Tasmania, Berlin, JPS Raiden, and Indian Food in 4th place. Indian Food apparently having a bit of an altercation with Dr. Rob during his qualifying lap. Thankfully there's 10 minutes in the session, and that shouldn't interfere in his next one as he gets a good gap to anyone else along the field. We'll go on board with Apex Predator. Now heading on to the back straight as I gain a friend on PSN. God, I'm lucky. Apex Predator accelerating away, braking hard into the chicane. How much of it will he use? Not as much as Tasmania on the initial corner, but on the secondary part of the chicane using just as much. Again, using all of the curbing, so you can use as much of the track as possible. Apex Predator moving up any positions. Not quite, as he'll look to set up his next lap. We'll cut to Hooby Shooby for a bit, as in fact, JPS Raiden now, the man on pole position. Now JPS Raiden, someone that didn't quite have the race he wanted in the last round. Obviously having a few incidents. Hopefully this time he can have a 100% clean race and realise his true potential. But with him currently sitting in pole, it's looking promising, JPS Raiden. Obviously setting a fast time early on, it's not always guaranteeing you pole, but it is good for building that confidence, letting you know that you can go just as fast as anyone else if you really push flat out. Coming through the Schumacher S's, JPS Raiden, a very fast man. As commentating in qualifying can get boring, can't it? I'm just not sure what to say right now. We'll look back a little bit. We'll look at Wizard Egan, one of the hosts of the league, using actually a livery I made myself, as he didn't have a livery for the Honda. Pretty nice livery. Actually, I would call it the best livery that we've got on the grid, actually. Hooby, I'm sorry, but I made it, so... Oh, as Wizard. A big incident there. Not too sure what just happened. Two of the Hondas seem to have come together slightly as the other one slows down. Mr. Egan with some scuffing on his livery right now. Not what you want, especially when your livery is as gorgeous as that. I'm going to keep saying that the entire day. As JPS Raiden has been dethroned with Indian Food and Tasmania both moving ahead. Indian Food a mere 12 thousandths of a second ahead of Tasmania, who is currently roughly 3 tenths ahead of JPS Raiden. Not what JPS Raiden would have wanted, but I'm sure he can unlock more potential. Of course, the Honda he's in is, as I've said many times now, a very difficult car to drive. Most people in the chat were very reluctant to drive the Honda, but of course someone has to drive it. There were discussions about maybe making it a bit more powerful, something like that, adding our own balance of performance. for this pre-season at least, we're leaving it as it is. We do have 3 very fast drivers currently in the Honda. I had a throat moment there. 3 very fast drivers currently in the Honda of JPS Raiden, Bellin, and a man who couldn't make it actually, PR1 Nico RD. Unfortunately, currently a live event, DreamHack or something like that, competing against other teams as Desmania moves into pole position. We'll look back at Indian Food and see if he has any sort of answer for Desmania's pace. As JPS Raiden again moving very close to the back of Indian Food and Desmania. Indian Food crossing the line, but not improving just yet. Will we see him able to improve any more and maybe snatch pole position? As currently it looks like we'll be in a fight for first place between Desmania, JPS Raiden, as I was going to say, but Indian Food in second, Bellin in fourth, a bit further down, and Hubi Shubi in fifth. Obviously, after qualifying of 10 minutes is done here, we'll move into a top 5 shootout, and currently Hubi is right on the cusp of making it into it. I'm pretty sure last round he qualified in 7th place, I believe. A good qualifying from Hubi, but not quite able to break into that top 5. If he can improve very slightly, just maybe get ahead of Bellin, that should secure him a place in this top 5, as we will look quickly at the timing, and in fact, 10 minutes is up. So, currently we have Desmania, pole position, Indian Food in second, but we'll look at Hubi Shubi for now, as this is the man that's fighting to stay in that top 5 position. We'll see if he can improve at all, as Bellin and Hubi Shubi currently slightly in danger, being overtaken. Hubi Shubi not able to improve just yet, so we'll look at Bellin, a man who is improving his time, hopefully able to close up to Desmania, Indian Food and JPS Raiden, and bring in some confidence, as currently 5 tenths back from the top 3. He won't be feeling too confident about his chances of getting pole position. If he can improve here, maybe we'll have a better fight, as he does improve to only 3 tenths back from JPS Raiden. Much better from him, as we'll have everyone parking up soon. Anyone left to do a lap? Doesn't seem so. Oh, was that someone? That was the Afro Fuzz improving. Will he be able to snatch the top 5 positions? No, just 9th place for now. A good opening qualifying for the Afro Fuzz, however. But currently your top 5 who will be competing for pole position are Desmania, Indian Food, JPS Raiden, Bellin, and Huvschernius. Our only 2 Dutch drivers actually in the top 5 and competing for pole position. I could say we have 2 Brits in there as well, but when you look down the field, there are many other Brits. In to see the only non-Brit out of the top 5 right now. But our top 5 of Desmania, Indian Food, JPS Raiden, Bellin, Huvschernius, after the stuck check, will be competing. There we go. Pole position. So before the stuck check starts, oh no, while the stuck check is happening, I'm going to quickly grab some water. Be right back. So as we look here, we've got 2 Nissans in the top 5 of Desmania and Hubschernius. 1 solo Lexus and 2 Hondas. So a good performance from the Hondas. Obviously, no one wanting to go for it, as it is considered the weaker car, but an equally good performance. Nissans. Desmania currently the fastest man. But anything can happen, and with the insane first corner at the Nürburgring, an incident could of course happen as people decide to go spinning off. Is there anyone who's just thought, you know what, I'm going to keep going? We have ADX Dawson yet again. Dawson, I'm sorry, but you have to go spinning off at some point. It's the most fun part of the race, the stuck check. But only if you make it the most fun part of the race, as we wait for the last 3. And there we go. Qualifying for the top 3, or the top 5, sorry, now begins. As we look to Hubschernius, again, the first man out of the pits. The man is on fire. He just cannot be stopped out of the pits. If he can get the same pace on track as he gets out of the pits, then the man will be unstoppable. But we'll go to bonnet camera for a second. Watch Hubschernius as he goes round his outlap. And while we're doing that, I might quickly chat to the Afrofuzz, just tell him what's going on. As I must admit, having a keyboard makes spectating just so much better. As I can do so much with just the single press of a button. Of course, I can't do any replays right now because we are in practice, but if anyone's ever thinking about enhancing their spectator lifestyle, get a keyboard, because it is honestly so much fun. Being able to rewatch any incidents, being able to have just the information you want up on the screen. If I want some other stuff, the stuff down the bottom, I simply press F10. If I don't want that, F11, just having the position board. It's amazing. I could decide whether or not to have the names above the drivers. But enough about that, let's look at Hubschernius's attempt for pole position. The man who got 5th place in the qualifying earlier, will he be able to improve very slightly, braking just before the 100-meter board? Taking a very tight line through that first corner, a bit tighter than Allegra, or Desmania as he's known now. Again, a bit of a tighter line, a bit of a drift through that corner. Not what Hubschernius would have wanted. Of course, many people know Hubschernius as Hubie Shuby, and from now on, I'm going to be calling him that, because calling him Hubschernius just feels completely wrong. As Hubie really using all the track on those 2 corners, accelerating hard away as he goes down towards the hairpin. A corner in which many lines can be taken. It seems Hubie has decided to go for a wider approach. You can go much tighter to the apex and still carry a decent amount of speed. But Hubie deciding to go out wide and carry a bit more speed. No lifting through the center S, obviously, braking before the 100-meter board, just after it. Riding the curves a bit too much there, unsettling the car, but accelerating nicely away onto the back straight. A decent lap from Hubie so far, as we'll look back for a second at Indian Food. Indian Food obviously winning the very first race, and we'll see how his time compares to Hubie. Not great through the chicane, losing the rear a little bit on exit as well, but carrying good momentum nonetheless, using all the track, all of the curbing, accelerating hard away from the final corner. Hubie with a 149.3, but Indian Food a full 1.1 seconds faster We now look back at JPS Rain, a bit of a dark horse here, setting a 1:48.3, very close as Bellin, the next man to cross the line. Will he be able to snatch pole from Indian Food or get himself higher up the grid? He's taken second place, only 5 hundredths behind Indian Food, but 5 hundredths ahead of JPS Rain as well. We'll look at Desmania, the man who got pole position for the very first race. Will he be able to repeat his successes right now? Getting a good acceleration out of that corner, as Desmania only able to manage 4th place. A full 7, almost 8 tenths behind JPS Rain. Not the lap that Desmania would have wanted. Maybe an earlier incident during that lap caused him to lose a massive amount of time. Desmania not one to normally make a mistake, but it seems he has not been able to string together the lap he would have wanted and challenge for pole position. But anyway, looking at the grid, we have Indian Food claiming pole position. The man who I'm pretty sure got second in qualifying at the last preseason. I really should have these stats like in front of me. That's a good idea for the main season. I'll pull stuff up and make sure I have all the information right there when I need it. But either way, today Indian Food has claimed pole position for the Nürburgring Grand Prix, a track which I personally know he is very fast around. I've previously raced him around here, and the speeds he is able to carry around some of the corners is immense. Second place, obviously, we have Bellin. A slightly better showing from him, yet again. Slowly improving his qualifying, as Indian Food did as well. Capitalising on the mistake that Desmania had on his qualifying lap. JPS Rain, only a 10th off the pole in 3rd position, really showing how close the fight is going to be today. Desmania down in 4th place, not what he would have wanted, but not a terrible result either way. And Hoob Schernius rounding up the top 5 in 5th place. Only 2 tenths off of Desmania. A decent lap from Hooby, and hopefully he can challenge the group ahead. As we wait now for everyone to ready up, Wizard Egan setting the grid, first race. What's set to be a very exciting race, it looks like. The top 3 covered by less than, actually just over a tenth. You know it's going to be some very close, very good racing. Suzuka, the last round, obviously very hard to overtake normally around there. Generally you're waiting for your opponent to make a mistake, as there are very few corners you can really make an overtaking move. As I realised Wizard's engine was super loud there. At the Nürburgring, a track in which overtaking opportunities are plentiful. Obviously down into the first corner, a prime overtaking spot. Was braking later into the first corner quite often. Gain you a position over any opposition. Gain you a position over any opposition. Yeah, that works. That sentence worked. Obviously we have the back straight. As you go down there towards one of the very slower chicane, if you can gain the inside into that chicane, very often you can make a move. But the car ahead will obviously be frantically attempting to defend that inside line as they look to hold the position. Coming out of the Schumacher S, sometimes an overtaking opportunity can present itself there. We also have the hairpin halfway through the track, just before the Schumacher S, another overtaking point. So as you can tell, overtaking here should be plentiful. And I have a feeling it's going to be a very good race. As in Sissy saying good luck to everyone, more specifically to his Lexus teammates. I'm very much looking forward to this race, I must admit. Nürburgring, in my opinion, has always presented itself with good racing. Suzuka, not a track I've ever really gone to grips with. Not a track I've ever really liked. Obviously, I did it yesterday in my McLaren to glory, as I have to do all the races, but the Nürburgring, a track which quite a lot of people do enjoy, the Grand Prix circuit. And hopefully that makes for some very close racing today, as we've got some new faces in the Afro Fuzz. And, oh, where's it gone? Let's see, there we go. And some veteran racers already, having 2 races under their belt, which I'll class as veteran for now. But still, we move in to the first race of round 2 of IGTL Preseason. We look at the grid. Indian Food in pole position, Bellin in second, Raiden in third, Desmania in fourth, and rounding out the top 5, Huub Journius hoping to make a challenge for that podium position which he got last race. We'll quickly turn off all the stuff as we look at the lights. 2 red, 3 red, 4 red, waiting for the green, and away we go. Indian Food seeming to get not a great launch, as Bellin and JPS Raiden getting excellent launches, and Desmania. We look now at Desmania trying to go around the outside. A bit of contact there as Desmania shoved a little bit wide, as it seems Bellin has overall come out on top there. The 2 Hondas currently first and second, with Desmania looking down the inside of JPS Raiden. Will he be able to pull out a move here? JPS Raiden having the outside, but which turns to the inside for the next corner. The 2 of them very close to one another. Desmania getting shoved slightly onto the grass, as it seems everyone's gotten through there very cleanly. As Desmania still looking to make a move again, side by side all this time, as JPS Raiden finally getting ahead. In fact, Apex Predator, a man very much on a mission here, has already moved up to 4th place. Indian Foods, the pole sitter, not having a great first race, as Desmania's run a little bit wide. We have Apex Predator right on the back of him, looking for a bit of a move. We'll go to his bumper camera and see if Apex Predator can go for anything at any point in this race. The top 5 here very close, but Indian Food unfortunately dropping from pole position down to 5th place. The first corner got a bit messy there. Unfortunately, we don't have it on replay. No massive incidents, as it seems we've got someone dropping back a little bit, as there's a bit of contact there, and in fact Apex Predator having to cut the corner and is down to 6th place behind the Afro Fuzz in the next Honda. So in fact right now the top 5 contains 3 Honda cars. Very impressive from Bellin, JPS Raiden and the Afro Fuzz, who has made up 4 positions on the opening lap. As we'll look back to see Vitminji in last place, not having a good first lap. I think an incident leading onto the back straight has left him quite far back from the back of the field. As Bellin slightly extends his lead, we have a good race developing. Apex Predator obviously just losing out 2 positions, going into the chicane slightly deep, and will now be looking to make up a couple more positions. The Afro Fuzz seeming to gain some pace as the race has begun. As it seems Dr. Rob has just got ahead of Insisi. And a very close fight here developing from 7th all the way down to 10th place. In fact, 11th place is Hubi Shubi down in 11th. It has not been a good start from him, as ADX Dawson right down the inside of Alex, possibly now able to go for a move on Industry as well. No, tucks in just behind, but brilliant from ADX Dawson, just getting the braking extremely correct there, just very precise as Wizard gets a slight slide on there. we look back at Shubi making a move up the inside of Alex. Not able to go for anything just yet, but he will have a better line going on to the back straight, losing the rear a little bit in that Nissan, allowing Wizard Egan now to close up to the back of him. We'll look at the front in a minute, as now Wizard Egan looking down the inside of Shubi, not going for anything just yet. We'll look further ahead to see the Afro Fuzz still leading Apex Predator. JPS Raiden in second, with Bellin miles ahead. Well, I say miles, 1.2 seconds, but out of the slipstream range for JPS Raiden. Tasmania then up to third place, with Indian Food being the only real loser in this current situation, currently with a penalty of 1.2 seconds. Around this track, I'm pretty sure it goes down very slightly if you just race normally. This track very much known for its penalties, as the first few corners are very difficult to get entirely correct, as Indian Food closing right up to the rear of Tasmania now, obviously losing 3 positions off the start. Will he be able to make his way back up to the top place of the podium? As it seems, if we look further back, Wizard Egan and Vitmin G have had a bit of an incident. We'll look at a replay quickly and see if we can find anything. But Wizard Egan just getting a massive slide on and losing the rear end. Oh, very unfortunate for Wizard. Difficult to regain control of the car in that position as well. As Wizard Egan dropping off the back of the field a little bit with Vitmin G. Not a great start from the two of them. We'll look back now to Alex Warts. Currently at a pocket of air. No one quite in his slipstream, but not in any slipstream himself. As Shubi, unfortunately, the real loser in this current time and pace. 5th place down to 10th. Not a great start from Shubi. Of course, we know he has the pace, though, and hopefully he can show that in the next few laps. I believe this is an 11-lap race. Yes, it is. And after this, we will have a further 8 laps to go. People will now start to make their Joker laps, though, it seems. Alex Warts going into the pits. Now, of course, if you don't know how the Joker lap system works, everyone at some point in the race, between the second lap and the penultimate lap, which in this case is lap 10, will have to go into the pits and straight away come back out. It's similar to Rallycross in that you have to take a different sort of course for one lap. And everyone will have to do that at some point in this race, with Alex being the first man to do it and being released into a massive patch of clear air. Could be a smart move from Alex if he could just pull some laps together now. As we slowly look up the field, Shubi in 9th, Eddie X Dawson in 8th, very close to Dr. Rob. We'll follow on board with them for a minute, see if anything unfolds. Eddie X Dawson running a little bit wide through that corner. Dr. Rob, of course, known very much for his smooth driving style, but Dawson getting a much better line out of the corner, as we'll in fact look ahead at Indian Food, very close to Tasmania yet again. Still with a 1-second penalty, but the top 4 separated by only 2.3 seconds. As I expected, very close between the top guys, and a very close race so far overall as well. As we look back to see Eddie X Dawson looking down the inside of Dr. Rob, not going for anything just yet. Dr. Rob running a little bit wide. Dawson tapping the rear of Dr. Rob, as in fact, we look at Tasmania and Bellin coming in for their Joker laps. This could unfold in an extraordinary way, in which they will come out in traffic. Could this be a mistake from Bellin and Tasmania? Bellin obviously leading the race at that current moment in time. But deciding to go for an earlier Joker lap. Will that be his downfall, or will it be a brilliant move, as JPS Raiden currently leads the race with Indian Food just a second behind him. The Afro Fuzz in 3rd. As we look back at ADX Dawson, with Tasmania very close behind. Not what Tasmania would have wanted for his outlap. He would have wanted clear air so he can go as fast as possible, but currently looking like he's going to be held up a little bit, getting very close to the rear of ADX Dawson. ADX Dawson getting a little bit of a wriggle on there. In fact, Desmania looking to the outside, but not going for anything just yet. Not a real overtaking spot normally. As it seems ADX Dawson just defending his line, which is in turn holding up Desmania a little bit. Could this be a mistake? Coming in so early for your Joker lap. Desmania right on the rear of ADX Dawson, looking to go around the outside. ADX Dawson holding the inside now. Desmania braking later, and it seems ADX Dawson has decided that's enough and let him go. But ADX Dawson has spun off a little bit, losing massive amounts of time there. Not ideal for ADX Dawson. What happens there? Rejoining the track in 10th place. Now going in for his Joker lap. But let's look back and see what happened there. So we'll go to bumper camera for a bit. Back to bonnet camera. As expected, he did let Desmania through, as he just hits the curbing in the wrong way on the initial part of the chicane, losing the rear and heaps of time, as JPS Rain currently extending his gap to Indian Food in second place. Many others going for their Joker lap already, as Bellin has currently moved up to 4th place, Desmania in 5th. The Afro Fuzz, the only person in the top 5 yet to make a Joker lap. Will he come into play? Will he maybe hold up Bellin and allow JPS Rain and Indian Food to scamper away a little bit? He definitely could play a bit of a factor here. But we'll have to see what happens. Desmania possibly looking to close up to Bellin while he's stuck directly behind the Afro Fuzz. As we'll look at the top 2. Indian Food deciding to go for his Joker lap now. This is essential. We'll see where he comes out in relation to Bellin. The Afro Fuzz also deciding to go for his Joker lap, releasing Bellin so that he can now go as fast as possible. But we need to see where Indian Food emerges out of the pits. It seems Bellin has got him, and Desmania still behind Indian Food. Not what Desmania would have wanted. He would have wanted to get that earlier Joker lap in so he could get some clear air, set some very fast lap times, while hopefully Indian Food isn't able to, and get ahead of him after Indian Food makes his Joker lap. But not able to do so right now. Indian Food still ahead of Desmania. Now it's interesting to see that Bellin is currently 1.3 seconds ahead of Indian Food, as that was the gap between JPS Raiden and Bellin previously. So Bellin could set some very good lap times here. We could see JPS Raiden losing first position. If JPS Raiden maybe makes a mistake, the 2 behind Bellin of Indian Food and Desmania will be waiting to pounce. But currently we are 7 laps into this race. We'll look to JPS Raiden, see if he wants to come in for his Joker lap just yet, or if he's happy in clear air and wants to keep going. As it seems JPS Raiden deciding now is the right time to make his Joker lap. So, as he comes into the pits and comes straight out of the pits again, we'll look to Bellin to see whether or not JPS Raiden will in fact emerge in the lead of the race. Bellin losing a bit of time to Indian Food, who is now only a second back from him. But if we look to JPS Raiden, already out of the pits, Bellin almost side by side with JPS Raiden. In fact, they are side by side. Bellin looking to go for an undercut there, but not quite able to make that work as JPS Raiden regains the lead. or in fact gains the lead that he never really lost, as Bellin getting a bit squirmy on exit there with Indian Food directly behind him. We'll look a bit further back now and see Dr. Rob, Alex Warts and Hoop Shudis all very close. As Alex losing the rear very slightly there, losing quite a lot of time as he gets a bit of a wriggle on coming out the corner, but we look ahead to see Indian Food very close to Bellin. Will he be able to pull off a move at any time in this race? Obviously all of them having done their Joker lap at this point. Indian Food taking a different line to Bellin through that corner, which allows him to get a better exit. But will he be able to go for a move? As Indian Food tapping the gravel there, but still carrying decent momentum. The top three separated by merely a second. And Tasmania only 1.2 behind. This is making for an excellent race. Indian Food dropping back a little bit now, with in fact all of the top four separated to each other by about 8 tenths or so. So we'll look back to see Alex and Dr. Rob again quite close to one another, not as close as they were before. So we'll look back yet again to see Vitmin G and ADX Dawson. Dawson in fact losing many positions. I'm not sure what's happened to Dawson. He may have had an incident earlier on. Of course, he did have that spin coming out of the chicane, which seems to have lost him quite a lot of time. As Bellin only 4 tenths behind JPS Raiden. The fight for first is getting good. The two Hondas leading the race in first and second. The Lexus of Indian Food in third place and Tasmania in fourth in the Nissan. This fight is getting very close. JPS Raiden, a man who had poor luck around Suzuka, but that isn't playing a factor right now, as the man has been absolutely on fire. As Indian Food looks up the inside of Bellin, not able to go for anything just yet, as Bellin took a bit of a wider line, which means he got a better exit out of the corner. But Indian Food having a slight look there, but not going for anything just yet. Indian Food will want to get a good exit onto this straight. Not quite the exit you would have wanted, with Bellin keeping a good 5.5 tenths gap to Indian Food. But a very close race so far between Bellin and Indian Food. JPS Raiden may be able to scamper off while these two having a little fight behind him. Indian Food now very close, 3 tenths behind Bellin. We'll cut to bonnet camera as he looks down the inside, not going for anything just yet, not quite close enough. The two of them very similar on pace. As we look back to see Insisi going for a bit of a spin there, not able to control his car very well there. Very unfortunate for the man. We'll look at a replay and see what happened. Did he just go a bit deep into the chicane? Oh no, he lost it before the chicane had even happened, and that is a massive spin out. Oh, Insisi. That is a massive crash, the biggest we've seen so far. The poor man losing all traction he had as he tapped his rear tyres onto the grass in the middle of what is a corner but is more considered to be straight. I've never seen a man do so many pirouettes at once in a single crash. As we'll look back quickly to see Insisi and Wizard Egan having a bit of a fight. Wizard Egan letting Insisi through. There may have been a small incident there. We'll quickly have a replay. As Wizard Egan looking down the inside, a bit of contact there. It's going from bad to worse for Insisi, as it is not the race he would have wanted. As we look further ahead, Indian Food now with 3.2 seconds of penalty, And with us moving on to the penultimate lap, that could actually play a factor into this race result. JPS Raiden 1.2 seconds ahead of Bellin now. So Bellin out of the slipstream, so JPS Raiden will look to hold on to that advantage. Just make sure Bellin doesn't have any opportunities going into this final lap of the race. Bellin 6 tenths ahead of Indian Food, 7 tenths in fact, but Indian Food with 2.9 seconds worth of penalty. It's not looking good for Indian Food. He won't be able to burn off enough of that penalty on this lap. As we'll quickly look back to Intercy and Wizard Egan, and Wizard Egan going off, losing the rear of his car. Rejoining back on track, but that is very unfortunate for Wizard Egan. Coming out of the chicane, just losing the rear of his Honda. As everyone knows, a very difficult car to get to grips with. And very unfortunate for Wizard Egan. But a man who hasn't had an unfortunate race whatsoever is JPS Raiden. Not able to get a podium in the last round, but currently looking as if he's going to come through to take the win. Everyone obviously pushing like hell in the last few laps, trying to gain as many positions as they possibly can. Get as many points on that last push, as JPS Raiden getting a bit of a slide on there, but it doesn't matter. JPS Raiden coming through the final corner to take first place in the first race. Brilliant drive from JPS Raiden. Bellin taking second place. Desmania taking third, as Indian Food a mere 0.06 of a second behind Desmania. Obviously with that 2.9 second penalty. And Desmania just able to clinch third place and the last slot on the podium across the line. We then have Apex Predator, a good race from him, up into 5th place. The Afro Fuzz gaining 3 positions into 6th. Hubschernius, a man in the top 5 for qualifying, not able to have the race he would have wanted, in 7th place. Dr. Rob then in 8th. Alex Warts in 9th. And ADX Dawson, after his early incident, rounding out the top 10 in 10th place. But well done, most importantly, to JPS Raiden, leading a 1-2 for Honda in the first race around the Nürburgring. A brilliant job from the two of them. As we have indeed had an excellent race for race 1 of round 2. We will of course move on to race 2. As Dan the Man in the chat, well done Honda boys. Dan the Man, someone who drove the Honda around Suzuka. And for the Charlie Roscoe folks who think this is done, oh, you couldn't be more wrong, boys. We have one more race. I gave the best replay in Sissy. What can I say, buddy? You were amazing. Of course, I will save the replay myself and probably use it for future thumbnails or something. But now we move on to race number 2. Race number 1 being a no tyre wear, no fuel burn race, basically a sprint race of around 20 minutes long. But now, as you can see, we move on to race 2. With race 2, obviously, we add the tyre wear and the fuel depletion, but we also open up racing medium tyres. So how race 2 is going to work is all drivers will have to use both sets of compound at some point. Everyone will be using either the hards or the mediums at some point in the race, as generally this is considered to be a 2-stop race anyway, as we have a 5-minute break till the next race. We'll watch a bit of Hubschernius, as we all love Hooby Shooby. Yes, the second race, double the length of the first one. The first one, 20 minutes long, 11 laps. The second race, 40 minutes long, 22 laps. And not only that, we will be starting reverse grid in comparison to the race results that we just had. Got to head to work in 30 minutes, Daniel? Well, you won't be watching the end then. Either way, it's good to have you here, and pop in and out whenever you need to. Obviously, work is an important thing. We have people currently doing homework and stuff like that who, you know, education and work, it's very important. We all obviously love GT Sport, but money and education always comes first. As I myself have a part-time job. Yeah, that's it. I go to university though. It's not that I don't do anything. It's that I am a student, but I work a little bit, because, you know, got to get the dollar. Mojo, you're leaving in 10 minutes? Well, it's been good to see you, mate. And I would very much appreciate it if you watched it. Hippie, slacking on Arc with the missing. Love it, Hippie. I personally never have played Arc, but I've heard it's an excellent game. I've watched someone do an Arc series before. I enjoyed it, just never really bought the game. But anyway, gotta get them Benjamins or Queen's heads, haha. Oh, Hippie. Great bands. Anyway, so as this is reverse grid, we will have a very fast racer towards the front. In fact, I'm pretty sure ADX Dawson qualifying in 6th place. Be starting around 3rd or 4th on the second row of the grid because of the early instance he had, so he could play a factor. Of course, last race, or the last race 2 that we had in round 1, Tasmania pulled an absolute blinder coming from, I think, 2nd to last, all the way up to 1st place. So will he be able to repeat that yet again? The pace difference at Suzuka a bit bigger than it is around the Nürburgring. However, with Tasmania's skill, anything could happen. Hippie voting for Hooby, I love that. I myself, a very big Hoop Schernius fan. As we're still watching the man, of course I'm a huge Hoop Schernius fan. The man's a living legend. Or the guy? I don't know if I'd class him as a man yet. But either way. Anyway, I better drink some. In fact, I need to get more water, because 40 minutes of racing and this much water is not a good idea. As I take some sips out of my IKEA glass, I will return in a second. As unlike Indian food, I don't need the lube, but I do need a refill, so be right back. Speaking of IKEA though, and yes, I'm back. Who else loves IKEA? Has anyone else actually been to an IKEA? I personally have only been once, but I must admit it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. IKEA, it's just... You'd expect a furniture store to be something that a child would go, oh, I don't really want to go. Like when you're going to a B&Q or something, or any sort of hardware store, something like that. But when you mention the name IKEA, immediately you get excited. You think, oh my god, this is a day out. Oh my god, it's going to be so much fun. Oh my god, the Swedish meatballs. Oh, I wish I could go back to IKEA, to be honest. Although, when I did go there, they didn't have any mash, and I was very disappointed. I had to have chips with my meatballs, and that is wrong. Okay, Swedish meatballs need to go with mashed potato. Look at the comments. Dr. Rob spent some of the afternoon building an IKEA bed. Very nice, Doc. Hopefully you and the missus can enjoy that. Wahey. Hippie, years ago with my parents, you went there? Went straight for the bedroom bit. Haha, love it. I, myself, went straight to the bedroom bit as well. Playing in all the cabin beds. Oh, don't get me started on that. I'm pretty sure... Like, when you go there, it's just the pinnacle of furniture shops. It's not just the pinnacle of furniture shops, it's the pinnacle of life. It's the one time where I don't mind walking around a shop, because you're never going to go to the same aisle again. Once you're through one of the aisles, you're done with it. And you keep going down what seems like a never-ending corridor of furniture and stuff. It's amazing. I get really passionate about this stuff, as you can tell. I really like IKEA. In fact, I might, for Christmas, I might tell my parents I want to go to IKEA. In fact, maybe my dad's watching this stream. He does watch some of my streams, so maybe. Dad, if you're watching this, hint hint, IKEA. Maybe make a YouTube account and type something in the comments. Yeah, Dad? Cheers. Anyway. The endless laminate floor walkway. Oh, stop, hippie. My heart. Oh. As pretty soon we'll be getting the next race underway. And I must reiterate again, a well done to JPS Raiden. An atrocious first round for him in comparison to what he's capable of. But this round, pulling it completely out of the bag. Considering how many incidents and how many mistakes he had made in the first round, I wasn't sure about him having even a chance at winning one of these races. Maybe a podium. Of course, he's a very fast driver, but we do have many other fast drivers in here as well. With JPS Rain beating all of them. And a fantastic first win for the man. As it looks like we'll be getting the second race underway. As I'm currently just walking around my bedroom, letting out some energy. Ooh. Wow, I just... So I have this little corner of my room which has food, which, you know, like little snacks. I've just realised how many Pringles I eat. Whoa, I need to stop. They're always on offer right now. Can't help yourself. You see Pringles on offer and you go to them. It's just like, Pringles, yes. Yes, we need more Pringles. We might already have them, but we need more. But anyway, moving on to race 2. Round 2. Race 4, technically. As we have my livery on Wizard Egan on pole position. Hintsy in second, Vitmanji in third. JPS Raiden dead last for the reverse grid. We'll cut off all the stuff. And this time I'll make sure to get a replay of the first corner. But we'll see what happens. 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights. Waiting for the green. And we're off. Hintsy getting an amazing start there, I'm pretty sure. No, not quite. But Vitmanji and ADX Dawson, amazing start as well. As Wizard Egan just seems to go straight off, along with Vitmanji having a bit of an incident there. No, not Vitmanji. Hintsy seemingly tapping ADX Dawson a bit. Not ideal. that situation as ADX Dawson, Wizard Egan, right down in last place already. In fact, it may have been Wizard Egan in the first corner incident. Such a shame for Wizard Egan. Tasmania directly ahead, not gaining any positions, as we've had another massive incident here. Hoob Shernius, Dr. Rob and the Afrofuzz all coming together. Now we have to look at what happened there. So if we look at a replay, we'll look at Dr. Rob just tapping the rear of Hoob Shernius, and everyone behind him just comes into massive contact with him. Not quite sure what happened with the Afrofuzz, but a massive shame there, as Vitamin G currently holding the lead. And Indian Food from second last, already up to third place. A man on a mission here, making his way through all of the chaos. But that is not the first lap we were looking for in this round 2, race 2. Either way, we carry on. Indian Food right on the back of Alex. We'll go to bonnet camera as Indian Food looks down the inside, not going for anything quite yet, not close enough to pull off any move. As in fact, if we look down the field, the Afrofuzz having a bit of a spin. We'll check the replay to see if we can see what happened, but he's already gone off at this point. And of course, when you're out in that area, it's very difficult to get out and get back on track with Indian Food. Looking around the outside, the Afrofuzz very irritated with his situation, clearly. Indian Food not able to find a way past Alex just yet. But looking down the inside now, Indian Food late on the brakes, too late on the brakes in fact, and is into the gravel. Indian Food losing out to JPS Rain, one of his main competitors here. ADX Dawson and Tasmania. Well, Tasmania much further back, but ADX Dawson could have got past there if Indian Food had rejoined a bit worse in that situation. ADX Dawson now right on the back of Indian Food, possibly looking for a move. But if we look further ahead, JPS Rain closing up to Intersea slowly. As we'll catch you later, Staniel. Good to have you here. But Intersea losing time to JPS Rain, gaining a bit through that chicane. As Tasmania actually gaining many positions, as Indian Food is now down to 7. We have to look at a replay of that. So what's happened here? Indian Food currently in 5th ahead of ADX Dawson. Going over the chicane and loses the rear, losing so much momentum and time. And Tasmania just looking down the inside of him. Easy move for Tasmania. Up into 6th place and ahead of Indian Food. Some uncharacteristic mistakes there from Indian Food. And now ADX Dawson. A cork in the bottleneck. Holding back Tasmania, Indian Food, and soon to be Bellin as well. 3 of the men in the top 3 as we look ahead. As JPS Rain not quite close enough, but he is! He's looked down the inside and a brilliant overtaking move there from JPS Rain. Amazing! And Tasmania seems to have pulled a similar move up into 5th place ahead of ADX Dawson. Brilliant moves up and down the field there, as we'll look quickly at a replay. Oh no, we won't, because I pressed the wrong button. But either way, brilliant moves from JPS Rain and Tasmania. JPS Rain looking to gain as many positions early on as physically possible to get away from the chasing back Tasmania. Indian Food and Bellin, obviously very fast cars as well. As Tasmania right on the back of Intersea. Obviously no Joker lap in this race. as everyone just has to come into the pits at some point. Tasmania opting for a very wide line so he can get a good exit and maybe get a run on Intersea. He's very close to the rear of Intersea. Looking down his inside. Tasmania with way more overspeed. Braking just after the 100-metre board. And right down the inside of Intersea. A brilliant move there. As we look further back to Indian Food, looking down the inside, there's contact as ADX Dawson not giving just enough room for Indian Food up his inside. As Dawson looking to get a sort of switchback through that corner, but it doesn't work. As there's a corner directly after. Dawson right on the back, not going for any sort of move just yet. But Indian Food now ahead of ADX Dawson. We'll look further up the field to JPS Rain and Tasmania. Very close to one another. Tasmania obviously having made two moves very quickly, one after another, as in fact Indian Food now ahead of Intersea. Has Intersea made a mistake, in fact? We'll look at a replay quickly and see if anything happens here, as he's got quite a good gap, but he's lost the rear a bit and has just fully allowed Indian Food straight back through. Alex Wart's only a second off of Vitamin G in first place currently. But two that are very close to one another are Tasmania and JPS Rain. We were watching them quite a bit last time around. It seems we'll be watching them again. Two very fast drivers around this track and around most tracks, to be fair. With JPS Rain moving slightly to the right, trying to get Tasmania out of his slipstream. Tasmania doesn't quite go for anything just yet. Trying to line JPS Rain up for a move, maybe pressure him into an overtake. Or into a mistake, sorry. As we look further back, with Apex Predator currently in 10th place, not the ideal start for him, as he hasn't really made up much ground. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's lost a few positions. Indian Food really cutting the corner there, but obviously the game allows that. So there's nothing wrong with it. But pushing the track limits to its very... as Bellin still not past ADX Dawson. That's a fight we need to watch, as Bellin currently 7th place needs to get a move on. But if we look back, Dr. Rob, an uncharacteristic mistake from a man who's normally as smooth as butter. Is butter smooth? Yeah, that works. But we'll look at the replay. Dr. Rob just coming through the corner. Already a bit down, admittedly. As he's lost the rear there. Regained control, but then loses it again coming through the next corner. And it's just very unfortunate for Doc, who has to make a full turn to get back. As we look ahead at the fight for first, Alex very close to Vitamin G. JPS Rain and Tasmania closing up to this fight, but Alex only 4 tenths behind Vitamin G. Taking a wide line to try and get a good exit onto this next straight. As JPS Rain, in fact, has come into the pits. The man who's currently on hard tyres may be going on to the mediums. But this may, in fact, mean he's going for a much longer stint than previously anticipated. Or many more stints, in fact. As he moves down into 9th place, just ahead of Apex Predator. Is he ahead, in fact? He is, very barely. And will now have a lot of work to do if he wants to make up more positions. ADX Dawson and Bellin, though, still very close to one another. We'll go to bonnet camera of Bellin, very close behind ADX Dawson, and see if he's able to go for any sort of move to any of the upcoming corners. As you can see in the top left there, JPS Rain moving up to 8th place ahead of Intersea. ADX Dawson defends from Bellin. Good defending from Dawson. Nothing Bellin can really do to get past. As JPS Rain again past Hoof Shernius. JPS Rain making 2 positions up already brilliant from JPS Raiden. We'll go to a quick replay and see what happened there. So JPS Raiden just looking for a move directly behind Tubi, and will he go up the inside? He does indeed. Just able to brake later on those fresher tyres, and a good move there from JPS Raiden. So currently the order of the field is this. Vitman G leads the race in first place as Bellin comes into the pits, in fact. Alex Watson second, Desmania in third, Indian Food fourth, and Dawson in fifth place. Not Apex Predator, JPS Raiden in sixth place next. However, JPS Raiden, the only man who has made a pit stop yet, and that could play a deciding factor later on in the race. He is gaining a lot of time through the corners, as you can see the gap to first place slowly creeping down. So will he in fact make a different sort of strategy work out, as he's already gaining right onto the rear of ADX Dawson. Bit of a slide on there, but able to manage it, as we'll look ahead quickly to Desmania, very close to the rear of Alex Watts, with, well, an anime girl on the back, as you can see, so maybe it's tempting Desmania a bit to get close to the rear of Alex, but either way, Desmania, obviously with a lot of pace in the first race, getting much better speed through those Schumacher S's. Closing right up to the rear, as Vitman G has run very wide. Vitman G losing out massively to both Alex and Desmania. Vitman G again spinning out. But we look ahead to Desmania, who may be able to go for a move here. Alex defends, not quite. The inside line is there for Desmania. He's looking down the inside, and he's made it. A brilliant move from Desmania to take the lead of this race. Desmania obviously the winner of race 2 of round 1, and looking to repeat his absolute monster of a race that he had last time in race 2 around the Nürburgring. We'll look back quickly at ADX Dawson, looking down the inside of Vitman G, not going for anything just yet. With JPS Raiden, in fact, around Dawson's outside, being shoved out wide a little bit there, but JPS Raiden on very fresh tyres can now look to the inside of Dawson. Oh, a brilliant move from Raiden! If he can just hold on into the next corner, he's done it! Amazing from Raiden! The fresh tyres are absolutely insane. The man is on fire and is now only 9 seconds off of the leader. He is gaining so much time on his fresh tyres. Could he be going for a different strategy? And could it work out? As we look at Indian Food, who's just got ahead of Alex, we can quickly cut to a replay of that, in fact. Indian Food looking around the outside, which later turns to the inside once he's done the cutback, tucking into the slipstream. Looks down the inside of Alex, not going for anything just yet, but Alex runs very wide. And Indian Food able to take the corner to move himself up into second. Brilliant from Indian Food, who is now 3.3 seconds behind Desmania, and will try to challenge the lead as Desmania comes into the pits. Now, what could play a factor here is JPS Raiden. We want to see where JPS Raiden comes out in comparison to Desmania. JPS Raiden obviously ahead before the pit stops. But we want to see how much of a gap he's gained over Desmania. Desmania now coming out of the pits in 5th place behind both ADX Dawson and Apex Predator, who he'll have to overtake in order to get close to JPS Raiden, who is in fact 5.4 seconds behind Indian Food. And if he's going for an extra pit stop here, that could work out for him. Obviously with 22 laps worth of racing, things do get interesting and mistakes can be made, but JPS Rain currently looking very good and in a very good position to fight for the win. Indian Food, currently the man in first place, but JPS Rain is gaining so much time on him. And Indian Food will need to come into the pits very shortly, with Bellin actually currently setting the fastest lap of the race. But we'll look quickly to Vitamin G, directly behind Alex, looking up the inside. Not able to go for anything just yet. The two obviously fighting for the lead early on in the Grand Prix. Not Grand Prix, the race. Don't want to get copyright striked again by F1, because that happened before. The two fighting for the lead earlier. Now fighting for 9th place, but could be more once others have made their pit stops. We don't fully know where people are right now. But we look to Bellin getting ahead of Wizard Egan, who seems to have gone off a little bit. We'll check again. As Wizard Egan just seems to let Bellin through, in fact, knowing that on the faster, fresh tyres, it would probably be smarter for him to just let him through, as Tasmania has made his way ahead of Apex Predator. Apex Predator and Indian Food, two men that are left on their old tyres and need to come into the pits. Hippie, I got copyrighted by F1 because they thought I was using free practice free footage from Monza, when in fact I was just driving a GR1 car around Monza. So yeah, I got copyright striked. But anyway, back to the racing, as Lagema has joined the room. I'm not sure why. Lagema, a very fast driver, but not one who's actually in the league right now. But if he wants to come watch, I guess he can. But anyway, currently looking at Tasmania, 7.3 seconds behind Raiden. Could Raiden's strategy work out for him, as currently 2 seconds behind Indian Food? The man is gaining a lot of time on the Indian Food driver. The Indian Food driver, you know what I mean. The British driver named Indian Food. We'll look quickly back to Wizard Egan, who seems to have made a small mistake there, losing a position to Alex. It seems ADX Dawson may be able to challenge him soon as well, as currently these two are the closest on track. But we'll look further ahead as soon as JPS Raiden has caught up to Indian Food. Yes, Hippie, I 100% agree, and it was stupid. But anyway, Wizard Egan now coming into the pits. Hoob Schernius also into the pits. As we look ahead, I'm pretty sure Apex Predator still not going into the pits, maybe trying a one-stop, but we're not 100% sure that is the fastest strategy, as Tasmania setting a 1:46. A very good lap from Tasmania as he closes up to JPS Raiden, who in turn closes up to Indian Food. The Honda driver really handling that Honda well. But still, we'll look further back, in fact, as ADX Dawson now closing up to the rear of Alex and Vitamin G. JPS Raiden and Indian Food not quite close enough to follow their fight just yet, or have their fight as our primary attention, so we'll look at ADX Dawson for a bit. Taking a wide line through that corner, trying to get a good exit as he closes right up to Alex. Not able to go for anything just yet, but if we look further back, was Deegan and Intisy very close? As I have in fact missed the overtake. Of course that happens. Either way, we have the replay. ADX Dawson looking around the outside. Brilliant from ADX Dawson. Straight around the outside of Alex. As JPS Raiden back into the pits before he'd even caught up to Indian Food. Indian Food still not come into the pits. Could he be trying a one-stop? Obviously, you have to use the opposite compound of tyre, and considering he's gone 12 laps, you have to assume he'd be on the hard tyres right now. Getting the longest stint out of the way, but could he be trying one stop and going as long as he can on those hards before changing onto the mediums? There's Mania, of course, behind him, closing up, but this could work out for Indian Food if he keeps his pace up. Indian Food, obviously the first winner of any IGTL race, but we'll look back to the Afro Fuzz, a man who has not had a good race yet, unfortunately, but is now closing up to the rear of Dr. Rob. Dr. Rob, a good friend of mine, but unfortunately, because of how poor of a race the Afro Fuzz has, I have to root for him. Having his race ruined on lap 1, that's never something you want to happen. It's very unfortunate whenever it does. The Afro Fuzz, again, with quite a bit of pace as well. So we'll be looking to make a move on Dr. Rob shortly. Closing right up to the rear, we'll look to bonnet camera. 3 tenths behind Dr. Rob. Not quite close enough to go for any sort of move just yet. As Indian Food finally comes into the pits, having had 12% fuel. Now that is interesting because JPS Rain came in the pits last lap with 8% fuel. What will be even more interesting though is where JPS Raiden comes out in all of this. JPS Raiden very close behind Bellin. Bellin really defending that inside line, knowing that he is in fact fighting JPS Rain, but Bellin on slightly older tyres, defending slightly too hard as JPS Rain managing to get a good line and just sweep ahead of Bellin. We'll look what happened there quickly, but Bellin really defending to the right side of the track to gain the inside, braking very late, but turning while braking a little bit and losing control of his car. As we'll look back, see something has happened between the Afro Fuzz and Dr. Rob. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but the Afro Fuzz appears to have left. Not 100% sure what's happened there. The Afro Fuzz clearly not having the race he would have wanted. We do not appreciate rage quitting in any sort of lobby. But anyway, we are over halfway through this race. JPS Rain pulling a massive lead out ahead of Bellin already and is 11 seconds behind Desmania. Indian Food down in 5th place right now, but could be trying the one stop. We're not 100% sure right now. It would be a risky strategy, but it could pay off. Or he could be splitting his race left into 5 lap stints on the mediums, trying to push late on in the race. As we look back quickly at not them, Gr2 directly, that's the wrong camera. There we go. Directly behind Alex, who'll be obviously qualifying in the top 5. Did not have the race he would have wanted in the second race. Is now looking to close up onto Alex in 7th. Oh, as there's contact, Gr2 hitting the rear of Alex. And Alex was just an innocent bystander in that. We do not appreciate that, Hoobie, as Alex has gone spinning off yet again. We'll look at the replay of that though and see what happened. Alex will actually use this camera for once. So Alex just turning in, Hoobie tapping his rear and sending him into a spin. Not good there from Hooby. And obviously not good to get that on camera either. As Apex Predator now, directly behind... That's not Apex Predator, that's Incy. Directly behind Alex, just after his spin. Of course, we do have stewards waiting in place. We will take action on any of those who do moves that we see as inappropriate during a race. Moves that aren't really on, anything like that. We will save the replay and check what's happening. As Bellin makes his way into the pits. We'll see where he comes out in all of this. But currently the field looking quite spread out. The only two cars close to one another are Apex Predator and Wizard Egan. But Apex Predator just got ahead of Wizard Egan, pretty sure. As Wizard Egan taking quite a lot of curb there. And deciding to burn off his penalty, which I assume he got, taking quite a lot of curb. We'll look at Bellin for a bit, who will be setting some hot laps right now. Trying to gain as much time as possible while he's in the clear air. Because currently, as you can see on the minimap, there is no one close to one another. The field is very spread out. Obviously everyone using very different strategies. JPS Rain possibly on a free stop even. Indian Food on a one stop possibly. Desmania on a two stop I'm pretty sure. And everyone pretty much on different strategies. Which makes for good racing at times, but unfortunately right now, there's absolutely no fights going on. As we see Desmania coming into the pits, what we will assume will be his last pit stop. Be interesting to see what type of tyres he goes onto as Vitmanji also comes in for what we assume will be his last pit stop. I'm guessing he's gone on to hard tyres. He has indeed. As hard tyres seem to last longer, as you'd expect hard tyres to do. But the medium's generally dying after about 5 laps, making the hards considered to be more worth going on to. JPS Raiden currently with a 9.2 second gap to Desmania. And everyone again, seemingly, in their own little pockets of air. We'll look back to see Wizard Egan, currently in 9th place. A few incidents for Wizard, but overall, not a terrible race. Of course, driving the Honda, a very difficult car to handle. We'll look ahead to see Vitmanji, 1.3 seconds behind Apex Predator. Will he be able to close up and maybe go for a move later on into the race? We shall see. But yeah, currently, everyone just settling into their own sort of rhythm. Desmania obviously looking to capitalise on those fresh tyres and gain as much time as possible. As JPS Raiden currently in first place, as he actually comes into the pits with a 9.4 second lead. This will, of course, be the last time he comes into the pits, but it'll be interesting to see what tyres he goes on to. If he goes on to mediums, he will be much faster than Desmania, but obviously they will be dying off later into the race. But it does look like Desmania and Indian Food are the ones to beat right now. With JPS Rain currently on fresh tyres though, he will be looking to gain on Indian Food, who has in fact lost a position to Desmania. Not 100% sure if that happened earlier on, I would assume so. But Indian Food on the one stop, I think. On the two stop? He may have come in again. I really should pay more attention. No, he hasn't come in again. Indian Food may be coming in on the end of this lap. With Tasmania currently in first place with a very promising lead over who looks like the only person able to challenge him in JPS Raiden. 10.5 seconds to Tasmania. Obviously Indian Food only 2 seconds behind, but on much older tyres. It'll be way more difficult for Indian Food to go, there we go, for any sort of move right now. Though he is keeping the gap to Tasmania. Indian Food obviously a very good driver. But the older tyres will play a big factor in this race. Look back a bit. See, no, not ADX Dawson. The other two that are close to one another. Still Vitamin G and Apex Predator. Keeping that similar gap of around 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 to one another. It'll be interesting to see where they end up. Vitamin G not having a good race so far, in his eyes, probably. As he hasn't quite been able to maximise his positions yet. But hopefully, he'll be able to do so in this race. G now closing right up to Apex Predator. 7/10 back from him. Definitely in slipstream range. As Lukman Alila has joined the room. Well, Lukman, it's good to see you and all, but I think you're in the wrong lobby. Hate to say that to you, mate, but yeah. But anyway, Vitamin G 5/10 behind Apex Predator. Will he be looking for a move anytime soon? Right in the slipstream, closing right up to Apex Predator, but not quite close enough to go for anything just yet. Clearly having the speed to go for a move, but not quite yet. As he gets a good exit out of that corner, 3.5 tenths behind Apex Predator, closing. Looking down the inside, but not going for anything just yet. Keeping it sensible. As the two fight away for 5th place. Still looking for a move though, Vitamin G. Looking down the inside whenever possible. Just letting Apex Predator know that he's there and he is ready to pounce. A little tap in the rear, but nothing vicious just yet. Not that I think anything vicious will happen. But Vitamin G very close now. Possibly on slightly fresher tyres. Vitamin G is right there. Looking down the inside now. Not quite, but right on the rear. Will he look for a move? He looks down the inside. Brakes slightly later. Has forced Apex Predator as wide as he possibly can. But Apex Predator holding 5th position brilliantly. All the way around the outside there, Apex Predator went to hold on to that position. That was brilliant from the man. We'll look at a replay quickly. As you can just see, that's that camera. Vitamin G looking down the inside. Slight bump there, but Apex Predator just manages to hold it all the way around the outside. Obviously able to get a better exit as soon as he had made it to the apex, not the apex. know what I mean, out of the corner, the exit of the corner. Because of that, has managed to hold off Vitamin G, currently sitting in 6th place. Is there a way I can get rid of the mouse? I've just realised that's still there. There we go. But we'll look back. Actually, there's something I want to try. Oh god, no, that is wrong. There we go. The rear camera on Apex Predator's car, as Vitamin G is all over the rear of Apex Predator. A brilliant fight from these two so far. Little bits of contact, but nothing too bad. And some very clean and fair racing, to be fair. Shoving each other wide is all good and fair and all, but only if you leave just enough room. As Vitamin G looking down the inside a little bit there, but not able to go for anything as Apex Predator has parked his car on the apex. Vitamin G trying to just brake later, but not able to go for anything from that far back. As this is the first time I realise I have used the back-facing camera. This is a good camera. The antenna in the middle, a little bit annoying. As we can see here, Vitamin G, again, only 4 tenths behind Apex Predator and closing. 3 tenths now. 2.5 tenths, but not able to go for anything just yet into the chicane. But we'll look ahead for a bit at Desmania. Currently leading the race by 3.6 seconds. Really controlling the pace here. Indian Food in 2nd place, 3.6 seconds ahead of JPS Raiden in 3rd. Bellin in 4th, a further 11 seconds behind, and 6.5 ahead of Apex Predator, who is really in a fight now. Let's move back to bonnet camera, the behind bonnet camera. ADX Dawson even closing up to them, possibly able to get involved, as Vitamin G looking around the outside, but Apex Predator then holds the inside for the next corner. So not able to go for anything just there, Vitamin G. As ADX Dawson now right in this fight as well. As Vitamin G getting a bit of a slide on there. Or Apex Predator, sorry. And Vitamin G trying to capitalise. Apex Predator clearly on much older tyres. Again, going a bit wide of the apex. But getting a good exit out of there to hold off Vitamin G and ADX Dawson so far. We will cut JPS Raiden and Indian Food if they have a fight later on, as JPS Raiden obviously on fresher tyres, but Apex Predator not able to carry as much speed as he would want to hold off Vitamin G and ADX Dawson. Currently he has the position, but it could be a matter of time before these two are able to pounce. ADX Dawson obviously catching these two rapidly a few laps ago, and now right on the back of them as Apex Predator runs deep and has allowed Vitamin G through. ADX Dawson now looking down the inside, and he has in fact made it as well. Brilliant from the two Honda drivers, moving ahead of the Lexus of Apex Predator. Yeah, so we move on to the final lap of the race. ADX Dawson defending very slightly. As Apex Predator, a mistake, leading to a net loss of 2 positions. Very unfortunate for Apex Predator. But we'll look ahead now to see JPS Raiden 1.8 seconds behind Indian Food. Obviously on a very different strategy to Indian Food. But will it work out for him in the late stages? Tasmania currently with a comfortable lead to Indian Food of about 3.5 seconds. JPS Raiden 2 seconds back. It doesn't look like the top 3 will be changing. JPS Raiden on much fresher tyres. However, with only a chicane and 1 corner left, we look to Desmania. He won round 2, or round 1, race 2, and it looks like he's going to win race 2 of round 2 as well. Desmania, he's done it again. As we look back, actually, to Indian Food losing second place to JPS Rain. JPS Rain crossing the line in second with Indian Food down in third. What's happened there? We'll look to the replay, see if we can see anything. Indian Food riding the curbs just as normal, getting a bit of... Oh! As he just loses the rear very slightly on his much older tyres. Very unfortunate for Indian Food. But then after that we have Bellin in 4th place, Vitmin G in 5th, his best result so far. ADX Dawson a solid 6th place. Apex Predator in 7th, Hoop Shernius in 8th place. Wizard Egan coming round the final corner, looking like he's about to take 9th place. And if we look further back, Alex seems to be on his own right now. And with only 30 seconds remaining on the timer, looks like he'll come across to take the final top 10 place in 10th place. But has he in fact run out of fuel? Dr. Rob closing up very fast. Dr. Rob almost... Oh! Very close between Alex and Dr. Rob towards the line. Alex clearly having run out of fuel, and Dr. Rob almost capitalising on that. Only 2 temps back, but if we look at the results, Desmania, he's done it again, has won race 2 of round 2. Well done to Desmania. A good race from him, and a good race from everyone else as well. Desmania obviously having won 2 races now. JPS Rain winning the first race and getting 2nd place in the 2nd. Indian Food saying, it just wasn't my day. I think I can agree with you there, Indian Food. Unfortunately, a few incidents, or a few accidents, just taking its toll on him. So I'm talking very slowly because my throat is very sore. But anyway, we'll look to the 2nd race results. To see Desmania in 1st, JPS Raiden in 2nd, Indian Food in 3rd, rounding off the podium. A good race. Not what we would have wanted for some people. But for Desmania, another win in the bank. JPS Raiden taking 2nd, however, will be the guy who gains the most points in this round, obviously winning the first race and taking 2nd in this one, with Desmania taking 1st in this race, however, I believe 4th in the first race. So JPS Raiden overall getting more points because of that Sprint Series win. A good race nonetheless. And well done to all the drivers today for a brilliant fight. Quickly saved the replay. And I have to thank everyone that's come and watched the stream. It's been amazing having you guys here. Obviously people from Iria's Discord, people from Charlie Roscoe's Discord, people from all around the world. It's been amazing. Thank you very much for coming to watch. We will be back after Christmas, I believe, starting the first official season of the IGTL Gr2 League. First, we'll have to do some time trials to see who actually gets into which team and who will be in Lobby 1, as it is the or Lobby A. Yeah, Lobby A. Either way. But we'll see who gets into the top lobby with the time trials. And then I will be streaming those races again. And we'll see who ends up... I've already saved the replay, I don't need to do that again. But yeah, we'll see who ends up winning the first official IGTL Gr2 season. But thank you everyone for coming to watch. It's been fun. And we'll see you after Christmas. And have a very Merry Christmas, everyone, as well. Thank you for coming to watch. Goodbye. As I need to remember how to stop the broadcast. There we go. Merry Christmas, everyone.